Iran's ceasefire is set to expire. Iran's top negotiator has issued a stark warning to President Donald Trump of violating the truce through a naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. In a post on X, formerly Twitter, on April 20th, Qalibaf declared that Iran has spent the past 2 weeks preparing to reveal new cards on the battlefield if fighting resumes. The statement, posted amid mounting tensions, reads in part, Trump, by imposing a siege and violating the ceasefire, seeks to turn this negotiating table, in his own imagination, into a table of surrender or to justify renewed warmongering. And Israeli military strikes on Iranian targets faces an uncertain future. Multiple reports indicate the truce could lapse as early as Wednesday evening Washington time, or midnight GMT on April 21st, depending on final interpretations. With indirect talks scheduled to resume in Islamabad, Pakistan, the stakes could not be higher for regional stability, global energy markets, and the broader Middle East. The current pause in hostilities stems from a series of rapid developments earlier this month. Israeli operations targeted Iranian military sites and nuclear-related infrastructure, prompting Tehran to respond with missile barges and proxy activations across the region. A short-lived truce was hammered out, reportedly with mediation from Pakistan and involvement from Lebanese and other actors. However, the agreement has been strained from the start. Naval blockade imposed on Iranian ports and the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump has repeatedly defended the measure as necessary leverage to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons and to force meaningful concessions at the negotiating table. In recent statements, Trump has made clear that without a comprehensive deal, lots of bombs could resume falling, and he has shown little willingness to extend the ceasefire indefinitely. Forces intercepted and seized an Iranian-flagged cargo ship attempting to bypass the blockade in the Gulf of Oman. Iran labeled the action piracy and a direct violation of the ceasefire, vowing a decisive response. The incident has further eroded trust, with Tehran accusing Washington of using military pressure to dictate terms rather than engage in good-faith diplomacy. Qalibaf's reference to new cards on the battlefield is deliberately vague, a hallmark of Iranian diplomatic and military signaling. Analysts interpret it as a veiled threat of asymmetric warfare capabilities that Iran has reportedly readied during the brief lull in fighting. Or Israeli assets. Activation of proxy forces such as Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, or Shiite militias in Iraq and Syria. Full closure or severe disruption of the Strait of Hormuz, through which roughly 20% of the world's crude oil passes daily. Cyber operations, or other unconventional tactics designed to inflict economic pain without direct conventional confrontation. Iran has long emphasized its resilience despite military setbacks from recent strikes, but insists it is fully prepared for escalation. In a televised speech just days earlier, he stressed that Iran pursues diplomacy while maintaining full preparedness for any necessary action. The timing is strategic. Vice President J.D. Vance, Envoy Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner on the American side. Iran appears to be signaling strength to avoid appearing weak at the bargaining table. Tehran has set preconditions for deeper engagement, including the lifting of the blockade, and has been ambiguous about the size and level of its delegation. On the American side, the approach remains a blend of hardline posturing and openness to talks. President Trump has publicly stated he is highly unlikely to extend the ceasefire without a firm agreement that addresses Iran's nuclear ambitions once and for all. "We want a deal, but it has to be the right deal," Trump remarked in recent interviews, warning that failure to reach terms would lead to renewed military action. The blockade itself serves dual purposes, choking off Iranian oil exports to exert economic pressure while keeping vital shipping lanes under scrutiny. Shipping companies have reacted cautiously, with some rerouting vessels and insurance rates spiking in the region. International observers note that both sides are engaged in classic brinkmanship. Iran, reeling from the impact of prior strikes that degraded parts of its air defenses and nuclear program, is using rhetoric to buy time and project resolve. Fresh off military successes, is leveraging its naval dominance to force concessions. The potential collapse of the ceasefire carries massive consequences. A renewed closure of the Strait of Hormuz could send oil prices soaring above $100 per barrel, rattling global economies still recovering from previous energy shocks. Gulf allies like Saudi Arabia and the UAE are watching nervously, as any escalation risks drawing them into the fray. Pakistan's role as mediator adds another layer of complexity. Islamabad has hosted preliminary rounds and is tightening security ahead of the next session. Meanwhile, Israel continues to monitor developments closely, with officials reiterating that they will not tolerate a nuclear-armed Iran. Regional analysts caution that while Qalibaf's threat sounds ominous, it may primarily serve domestic and negotiating purposes. Iran has suffered significant setbacks in recent weeks, limiting its conventional options. However, its network of proxies and ballistic missile arsenal remains a potent deterrent against full-scale war. As of April 21, 2026, the world holds its breath. Will the Islamabad talks produce a breakthrough, or will the ceasefire expire amid fresh threats and counter-threats? Qalibaf's new cards warning underscores Tehran's determination not to negotiate from a position of weakness. Resolve equally firm. The path forward remains precarious. For now, both sides appear to be leaving the door cracked open for diplomacy while sharpening their swords, just in case. News genre will continue monitoring developments hour by hour. The coming 48 hours could determine whether the Middle East slides back into open conflict or finds a fragile path toward de-escalation. Iran relations. From the 1979 revolution to the JCPOA nuclear deal's collapse, and now this latest flare-up, history shows that rhetoric often masks deeper strategic calculations. One misstep could ignite a wider war with repercussions far beyond the Persian Gulf.